everybody. Welcome and happy NFL schedule release day. I'm Maria Martin. This is Reggie Chatman. We're here for the next little bit to break down the Falcons schedule. And this is somewhat of a national holiday now in the NFL, Reggie. How exciting is this day?
Look, I really enjoy the schedule because our schedule release day, because on social media we get to see so many different videos, the creativity. I know the Chargers always put out some really good videos so far. Have you have a favorite so far?
I don't know. I love what the Falcons did, honestly. The NFL street stuff was so good. I think they did such a good job. The Chargers always make everybody laugh, and they throw some puns in there and some jabs in there, so I think that's been really fun. I haven't gotten a chance to look at all of them, but so far Chargers and Falcons have been ones that I've liked.
Titans, of course. Titans, of course. They always do really good when they go out in Nashville and they say, hey, what team is this? And people have no clue what these teams are, but hey, you know. Well, let's talk about the actual schedule, why don't we?
Yeah, let's talk about the Falcons schedule because Kirk Cousins on ESPN2 just a little while ago was talking about how this is a bull market and you should buy. He is high on the Falcons, and a lot of people are right now because, oh my goodness, Reggie, take a look at this schedule. You start with the 3 preseason games, and once you get into the first 3 games, you have 2 primetime games just right off the bat. You start with Arthur Smith coming here, the Steelers, the former head coach of the Falcons, obviously. Now he's the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. He's week 1. Then you go straight up to Philadelphia for Monday Night Football week 2. Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs, they come here for week 3. You're already looking at a gauntlet of a schedule just to start. What do you think about just those first couple of games?
Well, look, I think it's really, really fun. I mean, at the end of the day, you get 2 games at home to start the year, and you're supposed to get the Pittsburgh Steelers to start. Arthur Smith coming back is obviously going to be a major storyline.
Yeah.
They've got new quarterbacks in that room as well. Cordell Patterson's on that roster. There's a lot of connection between Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Of course, you go on the road to the Eagles, but that Kansas City game, Sunday Night Football in Atlanta at home, that is going to be unbelievable. The reigning champs coming to town.
Let's remind everybody that Kirk Cousins 0-3 against the Chiefs all time. He actually even mentioned this on ESPN2 in his interview just a little while ago, talking about how when you're trying to go up against the best, you want to play the best. And he mentioned that the Chiefs, obviously winning the Super Bowl last year, and what they've done in the last 5 years, they have set the measuring bar very high in the National Football League. So obviously this is a good test for the Falcons right out the gate. Then you move on, you get your first divisional matchup against the Saints. That'll be in week 4. And then straight away, you're already into your 3rd primetime game on Thursday Night Football. Also a divisional matchup for the Falcons against the Buccaneers. Reggie, this is 4 primetime games for the Falcons. That is the most since 2017, and they had 5. So you're looking at just this first 5 weeks for the Falcons, and you're thinking, this is a very good measuring stick for a team that a lot of people have a lot of faith in, right?
Right, exactly. And of course, a lot of eyes are going to be on this team, already knowing that this is going to be the case going into this season. But having this many primetime games will absolutely kind of ramp it up to the next level. I mean, the Falcons winless in primetime games since 2021. Kirk Cousins, there's going to be a lot of talk in these primetime games about can he play in primetime. 12-19 all time in primetime games. They keep putting him on TV. I think he has the chance to really turn things around and some of that luck when he has under the big lights.
8-8 in his career in primetime games at home, 5-3 at home in a Vikings uniform. So he's not bad when it comes to playing at home in primetime games. And I like to call this the quarterback effect, what we're seeing with the Falcons, right? Going all the way back to 2017 was the last time that they had those 5 primetime games. Now they have 4. It's because they got a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is here. Let's talk about, I want to jump ahead already to that Vikings game. That is all the way down. I mean, you're looking in December, the beginning of December, December 8th. That is week 14 for the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to go to the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, that will be a homecoming for him. He was asked about it. He said, let's wait and see where we're at. That's so far from now, but I know that's going to be fun from him. Why should this be exciting for everyone to tune into?
Well, look, man, I think they're 2 teams that are just hoping to try and take the next step. I mean, of course, for the Falcons last year, 7-10 again. They have a chance this year, especially by that point of the season, to really be in a position to hopefully be in the playoff picture already and really have built a lot of momentum. Meanwhile, the Vikings, their old quarterback is here in Atlanta now. They're starting a new era with a new quarterback as well, and I think it's just a brand new team there. And I mean, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it all kind of comes together for these 2 squads and different kind of points in their progression.
Right now, this is pegged as a 1 p.m. game, which a lot of Falcons fans are typically used to over the last couple of years. This could be flex, so this could turn into a primetime situation. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of games, particularly on that week, that are kind of head scratchers as to why they're a 1 p.m. game. So again, that could change. That's in December. That's a long time from now. Another game that we want to look at, we've been talking about the 3 primetime games so far, but the 4th primetime game comes in week 15 for the Falcons. That is at a beautiful brand new stadium out there in Las Vegas. Las Vegas Raiders, oh my gosh. This is a very different Raiders team, okay, keep in mind. So they have a different quarterback. They have Gardner Minshew now, but guess what? They've got a guy that we know very well.
Oh, yes, Brock Bowers is in the NFL, and by that point, people will probably be saying he's the best tight end in the entire world. I mean, he's already really good. That's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, I felt a little bad for him when he got picked up by the Raiders just because they didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. Now we know it's going to be Gardner Minshew. Max Crosby also can wreak some havoc on teams, so that's going to be a fun matchup, too.
I think it'll be fun, too, because, I mean, it's another one of those teams that has a brand new head coach leading the way. I mean, they play six of the 8 new head coaches in the NFL this year. That's just another example at that point in the year. So, I mean, by that point, you'd hope that the Falcons have kind of figured things out by then. I mean, going up against that Raiders team.
You'd hope so. And maybe they get another primetime game in there between now and then as well. That could definitely happen. We talked about that a little bit. Let's rewind because we have been talking about these primetime games that you're going to see. But one game that is not a primetime, but it is a must schedule for the Falcons fans. That is week 1, Reggie.
Oh, man.
We mentioned the Steelers are going to be coming here. I thought it was kind of a joke when I heard it for the first time. I said, there's no way that this is real. Arthur Smith, the former head coach of the Falcons, will be coming to his old stomping grounds. There he is, a very familiar walk that he had in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is going to be very interesting. I had some people tweeting at me, Reggie, saying, I'm going to buy a ticket just to boo this man. A little aggressive, but I kind of understand. I know that Falcons fans, the state of things, they're very frustrated, but what do you expect from not only fans, but maybe a reunion of some of the players that do still have really good relationships with Arthur?
Well, you mentioned it. It is wild that they have this matchup going in week 1 because there's already going to be a lot of energy for that week 1 matchup. It's already going to be at home. And during the week 1, every single team in the NFL still has dreams and feels like they've got an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Now you're going up against the former head coach that, for Falcons fans, probably believe for the last 3 years ruined their chances of being able to get there. So it's going to be a lot of energy. And just like that person tweeted you, I feel pretty confident that the boos are going to be loud when the day comes.
Let's also not forget another person who's going to be in the building week 1 that we have yet to mention, Justin Fields. He's been here before in a Bears uniform, but now he is the presumably backup quarterback there in Pittsburgh. That could change, but obviously Russell Wilson is there. So, it's going to be fun to see Justin, too, a hometown kid here in week 1. But when you're looking at this schedule, let's get away from some of the things that we've been talking about already. There is a lot of games that stand out, and this is an easy schedule.
Very easy.
It is one of the easiest in the NFL, Reggie.
Actually, the easiest.
Yes.
Out of the Saints.
And, the beginning is a little tough, but let's talk about the whole schedule in its totality. Where do you see the Falcons maybe running into a little bit of trouble in this schedule?
Well, I mean, it might be just from the beginning. I think it's going to take a second for this new look team to try and figure out where exactly they kind of stack up against some very good teams. I mean, Pittsburgh early, the Eagles are obviously a team that are always in the playoffs, have been good the last couple of years. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. And then, of course, you get into your games in the NFC South, which can really, really affect how things kind of go in the rest of the season. It's interesting because when you look at this schedule, it's kind of front-loaded with all their NFC South matchups, which means that for a big part, you'll know where this team kind of stacks up in division. You've, of course, got that last game against the Carolina Panthers in Week 18, but by that point, you've got a lot of games under your schedule already like that, where you know exactly where you're going to kind of stand up in the NFC South. So.
No, you're right. And just looking at it, Week 12 obviously is the bye week, and all of your divisional matchups come before the bye week, except for that last one against the Carolina Panthers. You're going to understand where the division stands for the most part at that point. And I think a lot of Falcons fans are expecting them to be division champs at the end of the year. It is very possible. It is very possible with what they've done in the offseason and what they continue to do to build this team. 6 straight losing seasons for the Atlanta Falcons, their last playoff appearance back in 2017. That was a divisional loss to the Eagles that year. So it's been a minute, Reggie, since this team has even been in playoff contention. We thought at times they could be very close last year, but look, you get a veteran quarterback in here, things start to be different. There is a lot of excitement around this team right now, which is clearly very fun for you and I, and for Falcons fans as well. Where do you feel like the Falcons are going to land at the end of the year? Give me a prediction.
They are going to win the division. I feel pretty strongly about that. They've got the team set up and the quarterback. It really just felt like the last couple of years they just needed the quarterback situation figured out. And the good thing for fans at home, they get a chance to see Kirk Cousins in a Falcons uniform very early and often at the beginning of the season. I mean, for their first 5 games are all at home. Of course, you have those primetime matchups as well. Everybody's going to see this team, and I think if they can get through that first part of the schedule, and they know that their schedule is the weakest in the NFL, tied with the Saints, of course, I mean, they can really make a run at it and find themselves in a really good spot to maybe host a home playoff game.
Ooh, I like that. I also kind of echo that same sentiment. I do think they're going to be division champs at the end of the year. You look at the division, and yes, it has improved since last year. However, I do still think that they are the strongest. You look at all the playmakers around Kirk, assuming he's healthy. You know, he got hurt 9 months ago. He's 6.5 months into the rehab process. He said he's further along than he anticipated to be. So he even just said on ESPN he's fully anticipating to be ready week 1. We hope that that's the case, obviously. A front-loaded schedule in terms of a home game for the Falcons, and I have a feeling that that building is going to be unlike what we've seen in the past, Reggie. And you and I have been in there for some really fun matchups. You've been in there for some really good Saints matchups, particularly, and the crowds can be very good. But I think it's going to be different this year. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it's going to just be maybe just next level. I mean, like we said, at the beginning of the season, everybody's really excited to see what this team is going to do. And I think by the midway point, you'll have seen the team at home enough times that you really feel like this team has a chance to really do something special this season. And for that reason, Falcons fans, when you look on social media, I know that your mentions are always kind of in shambles whenever you ask Falcons fans anything.
Yes.
They're a very passionate group, but they also really like winning. And I think that they've got an opportunity to win a lot of games, and that means the fans will come out to the stadium. And of course, I think it also helps that you also have some matchups against some really, really fun teams at home. I mean, we didn't even talk about the Dallas Cowboys coming to town.
You're right. Talk about it.
That's going to be unbelievable. I mean, when you look at this schedule, you've got some of the biggest names in the entire sport coming to town, whether you've got the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants as well, and then, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers just to lead off the season as well. Fans are going to be out, whether they're home and away. The whole hope, I think, for Falcons fans is that you hope that these other teams like the Cowboys don't have their fans come out here and take over Mercedes-Benz Stadium like you have seen in the past. The Packers came to town, and it felt like a Packers home game. So
Steelers
you're hoping that's not the
same
case.
Way.
Yeah, exactly.
You see those terrible towels waving around. Yeah, the Cowboys are an interesting one, too. 12-5 in each of their past 3 seasons before exiting the playoffs, and they've had a lot of high expectations clearly around Dak Prescott. So that's going to be a good measuring stick. Just having those fans in the building will be fantastic as well. You mentioned the people in my mentions. I just put a brief question out there. Give me your season predictions to the Falcons fans. And the lowest that I've seen is 5-12. Not sure this person is a robot or real because they don't even have a picture. So who knows? But most people, Reggie, are saying 10-7. That is the general consensus in my mentions. Got over 9.5 from some people. I like this one. Floor 7-10. Expectation 11-6. Ceiling 13-4. They said I might be optimistic, but I think it's a fair assessment. 13-4 is pretty high. You know,
yeah.
I hope that you're right. But you know, one thing I want to mention, and that our producer would like for us to mention as well, is that Taylor Swift could be coming to town for that. Look, we already had that queued up and ready to go. Yeah, when the Kansas City Chiefs roll into town, assuming that her and her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, are still dating by the time that this rolls around, she'll be here. So that's cool, and it generates even more excitement, honestly.
I mean, we saw what kind of crowds showed up for Taylor Swift when she already performed at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Add her to what this incredible game is going to be like at this point of the season. I mean, this has a chance to be one of the biggest Falcons games we've seen in Atlanta in a very, very long time.
And the best part is, it is on 11 Alive. So you can watch it on our air right here. You're going to see Mama Kelce, Brittany Mahomes, all those people will be out there. And Taylor generates excitement wherever she goes. And I saw her concert at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, saw her on the Halo board. The Halo board just brings so much more emphasis to something anyway. So seeing her on there again is going to be unbelievable, this time in a box cheering for the Falcons and the Chiefs. Not really cheering for the Falcons, but you get it. Anything else you want to mention about this schedule? I think it's super fun.
I think it's a lot of fun. And I think for us, especially since we're in the media, we get a chance to go to all these different games. It's always a little bit more fun when the team's winning or when we get to see some other teams that get to come to town. The schedule's a whole lot of fun. But I do want to mention, we didn't talk about, they're on the road against the Commanders. Of course, Dan Quinn is a guy that they know. I mean, their former head coach here. I mean, and so at the same season, you get to see both your previous head coaches back in the, I mean, not even on the back at home, but I mean, you get to see them both at some point.
And there's still a lot of players on this roster who have good relationships with both of those people, more obviously from the Arthur Smith era than the DQ era. Not a whole lot waiting in the wings. Grady Jarrett would be one of them who's still working his way back from injury. He has a DQ relationship, but it's going to be great to see both of those guys. And whether you liked them or not, the players still have some good relationships with them. So it will be very fun. It'll definitely be fun for Reggie and I. I certainly think that the Falcons have good things in front of them. You do as well?
Absolutely. I mean, they're built right now to win a lot of games, and the schedule really lends itself to be able to do so as well. Second year in a row with the easiest schedule in the NFL. Let's hope they get it right this time around. 4
primetime games. I am ready for it. This is what happens when you bring a quarterback to town. This is going to be so much fun to see, and I have a feeling we're going to see Penix Jr. in some of those preseason games. I don't know that Kirk may be playing a whole lot. Hopefully we see him a little bit, but it's going to be so much fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed the schedule release. It's one of the best times of the year. It's now a national holiday in the National Football League. But for Reggie Chatman, I'm Maria Martin. You can reach us in the comments and we'll correspond with more thoughts on the Falcons, and we'll keep you updated all season long.